we should be live right about now. And there we are. Okay, let's get this music started. Here we go. Make sure my F10 key is up, and here we go. Dance with me, Tom. I got him to smile. Okay, show's over. I got Tom to smile. That's the biggest smile I've seen on you in 10 years. Oh, my newest cool dude, Tom M. I'll even tell you his last name if you're good to me. Oh, yes. Serge Hoffman is singing my lyrics and his composition. Here we go. Here's a drum roll. Come to the bridge. Bop, 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 bop. Thank you very much. Thank you to Serge. Bonnie D here with my newest cool dude. Let me stop that audio. We're going to turn that audio off. There we go. Tom M. Tom Madonna. I'll say your last name one time. Welcome, Tom. How are you?
I'm good. And you?
I'm fine. Thank you for asking. How was your holiday, your New Year?
It was great. At this point in time, the kids are come and gone. So we had everybody home for the first time in a year or two. And we had the
Nice.
grandkids, which was good. And we had good weather up
No,
until last week.
yes, I know. I'm in Tennessee, you're in Dallas, and we both had snow, and we're not supposed to have snow. But the snow is clearing because there's some kind of sunshine. It's a gorgeous sunny day here. It's going to be, I think, a high of 44. Woohoo! And we're still going down into the 20s at night. You too?
Yeah, but most everything is frozen or unfrozen. So at this point in time, it's all wet. So we have the dogs coming in and with mud now versus ice.
Wonderful. Wonderful. My grandpuppies have socks and shoes. They call them little wellies, and they put little shoes on them with Velcro. And that way, when they come in, my daughter and her husband remove the boots and the socks, and they don't have dirty paws to clean. So it's just, and they put them on a little hanger, and it's real cute. They have their own colors. Anyway, I'm going to hopefully regale you with my introduction. You were kind enough to send me a chronological bio of everything you've ever done, every place you've ever been, your entire life, and I appreciate it. And so I have turned this into a rhyming bio. I don't say poem anymore because I got attacked for that. You know, I'm a poet too, and I'm a human, and I only do human poetry. But this is a rhyming bio, so we'll leave it at that. So here we go. You know us well, Bonnie D and Tom M too, seasoned in life, and we love what we do. From LinkedIn's halls to socials embrace, and make sure we're streaming. We are streaming. Good. To socials embrace, we love sharing insights in our savvy people space. Now on We Dish, we are here to play. He's even going to smile. Lighting up life in our uniquely fresh. I think I see a dimple there. Welcoming Tom M, a cool dude on a lifelong quest. Here's my rhyming intro, then he'll tell us the rest. The story of Tom M, a lifetime of tech and wheels. When Bonnie D speaks with Tom M, vroom is how she feels. Here we go. Tom M, born in Boulder, Colorado's embrace, where mountains rise and skies bring grace. And I'm hearing some music here, and I'm going to make sure I don't have any other audio coming out here. Here we go. Do you hear music?
No.
Do you hear music? I hear music. I'm going to quit my Apple Music had something going on in the background. Let me start again. Tom M., born in Boulder, Colorado's embrace, where mountains rise and skies bring grace. Elementary school in Louisville's hood, math and PE, Tom's favorite subjects he understood. To Texas his family moved, Richardson's the site. In Tom's middle school days, cars drove new delight. At 12, his automotive passion took root. Driving Grandpa's Ford pickup, Tom's passionate pursuit. His first car a Fairmont with a 305 flare, but dreams of a Porsche twinkled in the air. Mowing lawns and babysitting, his first jobs to do in Midland High's Friday Night Lights, he grew. Math and computer science filled his high school hours, running marathons, football, and track fueled his powers. At the University of Texas, Tom's path did expand. BBA, MS in MIS, he'll tell us, and MBA in hand. Cooking, waitering, bartending college days, extracurricular sports, and hard work set his ways. Cooper's and Lybrand marked his first career's leap, where business and tech began to steep. Marriage came next, now 34 years strong. 3 children and grandchildren came along. From DSC to Price Waterhouse, his resume soared. Through mergers and acquisitions, Tom's skills he explored. Teaching as an adjunct, guiding young minds. At UTD, his influence combines. With degrees and certifications from Georgia to Stanford's Glow, Tom's leadership in CRM and supply chain did grow. SAP is his stage where industries align. From retail to aerospace, his expertise is, I made that a plural, shine. 48 states work, 39 countries flown. Tom's traveled the globe as his career has shown. Through the years, over 40 cars he has owned, a collector of rides. His garage is well known. Fishing, golf, cooking too bring him joys, fun with his grandkids and their newest toys. 4 homes he's owned, a legacy grand. Tom M's life, a journey well spanned. Here on We Dish, his tales will inspire and ignite. A cool dude steering innovation to new height. What'd you think?
Very nice.
Good. Very nice. I'll take that. Here we are and We Dish chatting on life's score, culture, music, food, and oh so much more. Join us live here on demand, day or night. We'll be sleeping, but you can find us. That's the joy of on demand. And enjoy our dishing with shared delight. Meet us for real in our live streaming glow. Comments are welcome. Just play nice. You know who you are. You know. We Dish, two saucy dame and cool dude too. Bonnie D and Tom M. Dishing on life's fun for you. So, how'd I do?
Very nice. Very nice.
Good. Did you recognize the person I was poeming about, rhyming about?
Well, yeah, yeah. At this point in time, it's all those places and you know, milestones and interesting pieces of one's life.
There you go. Okay. I would love to have you tell us a little bit about what I missed, any dashes that you want to fill in, and and I'd love to know a little more about your 40 cars and your well-known garage. Come on, give us a little intro here, Tom.
Sure. So, as far as the execution, I've kind of risen and gone through 5, 6 different waves of technology. So when I got out undergraduate, it was punch cards and tapes and doing Fortran and Cobalt in my training, but never actually did it. I went from that into relational databases and execution and GUI, from that into client server to moving things off the mainframe into 3-tier architecture to apps, from apps into C++ and others. Then from there into implementing Oracle and SAP since, and 5 different versions of SAP. So it's been an interesting ride. 26 plus industries I've implemented, 500 go lives and counting.
Oh my.
Implemented every product that we've gone through now with SAP for 5 years, but over the 35 plus years of doing it, I've actually implemented every product. So it's been a fun ride, and I think that S4/T5, whatever we're gonna have as the next version, will be the Swan song, and
Okay.
we will see, because it's becoming an interesting process to actually take the technology and transformation at the clients and move them forward. As far as the garage goes,
Yeah.
started with Fords. I've had GMs. I've had a couple imports. Most of the time, I've been loyal to the customers I've been working with. So when I was at GM, I had 20 plus GMs. When I was at Ford, I've done 18, 19 different Fords. I currently have Fords in the garage now. We've got 2 Lincolns, and as commonly referred to, one of my dad's last cars was a Lincoln. My grandfather's last car was a Lincoln. So
Uh-oh.
ultimately stayed domestic, but we've gone back. We've actually got an Aviator and a Navigator, and all the
How
tech.
big is your garage?
Garage, a 3-car garage, but
Okay.
at this point in time, we've kept with the 2 cars with the 2 people in the house. My son has kept the Chevy piece alive, so he's had Chevys, and both the girls have had a combination of imports as well as domestics, depending upon the scenario. So all 3 kids liked the Bug. They got their licenses early and drove. So that's one thing that's different about my kids being in their generation. They did go down the path of wanting to drive, and
Hmm.
got some of that from dad, and they really like what they're doing. My middle one is doing product releases with Toyota and Lexus, and
Mm.
after many conversations, she's now jumped on the bandwagon that if they're paying the bills, she'd be driving their vehicle. So she just bought a brand new TX with Lexus. Uh,
Nice.
so my Her husband, my son-in-law, is also an avid auto guy, so he goes through two or three cars since we've owned him. So it's been an interesting process. I looked at the technology. I was looking, I actually ordered an 25 and was in the process of waiting for a build on it, and started looking at the 24. Got a call from the dealership, and they went through the process and ended up doing a CPO on the 24, and was 52,000 less than the order on the 25. So at this point in
Wow.
time, I was okay that instead of not having the screen across the front of the panel, I've got
Yep.
one screen, but it's the same digital representation. The difference is having it up multiple times and doing multiple things.
Nice.
But the ride is pretty much the same. The outside detailing is a little bit different, but not much. So there was a couple things that were different, but for that price tag, I chose to stay with the 24. And
There
so
you go.
so we got the
You're
24. Got it about a month ago. It's
what
just
color? What color?
black. So it's a triple black. So I got the smoke black interior. So it's similar interior that the Aviator had that I got as a 23.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got that mahogany and black mix. The outside's black, tinted black, black accents and black rims.
Nice.
Uh,
Classy.
where the Aviator is that airline pristine white. So it's got the black, silver, and white exterior, but the same interior.
Question for you. Of all the cars you've owned over the years, Tom M., what's your favorite car in terms of just fun versus comfort or performance? Just a fun car to own. What was your favorite? Do you have a favorite or the top three?
I,
What did
I
you love the most?
well, I think and there's a grouping of them because I've had three of them. So the Ford Expedition and excuse me, the Ford Explorer STs and sports have been fun. And one reason I went to the Aviator was it's got the same engine in it. So ultimately, they've all ranged from having a interceptor all the way up through the sport. And you're talking 450, 500 horse, power. And having a big car and going that fast is definitely fun. I think the
Wait, hold on. Where can you go fast with the car today? That you can't drop that on me without giving us a little. Do we got a route number here or?
so there are places in Texas, and
Yeah.
there are tollways in Texas that allow you to go 80, as a stated speed limit.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in Dallas Fort Worth, it's 75, but
Uh-huh.
there are tollways you can actually go through that. I have exceeded that with those vehicles.
No.
Well, I won't go into
No.
which, but at this point in time, cruise does work at high speeds.
Figured you tested it a little bit somewhere.
And actually, one of my previous vehicles, besides the Sport, we went out to West Texas. It was actually one of my Chevys, and there actually is posted 85s going into West Texas.
Ooh. Ooh. And how far did you exceed that limit? You want to tell us?
Um, a three digit. So,
Okay.
so
See, he is a cool dude. He talks serious, everybody, but he is a very cool dude. But I just got to work at getting that out of him. Okay, Tom, your favorite car as a teenager. Let's get away from the big production stuff. As a
well,
teenager.
the teenager, I just had the one vehicle. I had the Ford Fairmont, but it was the 305. It was the same car, different color than the Midland Police. So ultimately, when I was driving at night and et cetera, I really never had a problem being pulled over since the vehicle was the same vehicle. It was burnt orange, so it basically kind of pre-limbed into in going to UT. Um, but it was interesting. It was a little old lady bought it, had it for basically 2 years.
Mhm.
Garage kept it. When I bought it, it had just over 11,000 miles on it. Had all been driven on the highway, and got a pretty penny. I think my loan on it was 11 or 1,200 bucks that I co-signed with my dad. Took it out from
Whoa.
the bank, and had it. Now I was the reasonable one. My brother did the Trans Am and
Ooh.
had it for about 6 weeks before he wrecked it.
Oh
Uh,
no.
had it in the shop for about 4 weeks before he got it back, and then another 6 or 8 weeks after that, he wrecked it again. So,
Funny
uh,
how you remember the number of weeks in your brother's car saga.
so I had the luxury of having just as fast of an engine and having the four-door sedan, where he had the two-door coupe and the T top, and then end up wrecking it. So
Oh
long and
dear.
short, that was kind of the grouping number one. I've had a couple convertibles. I've had a
Oh,
couple BMWs.
okay.
So the BMWs, matter of fact, when we got the Navigator, I traded in my X5, my wife's X5. I had one of the first hybrid threes, where they
Okay.
used the hybrid for the propulsion. Bought that when I was working at JCI because that particular car had the most JCI content in it. So the headliner, the seats, the LED in the front, the lithium in back, the home link, all were at that point in time JCI product. So ultimately, it had more JCI content in the vehicle than any other vehicle on the road.
I
Uh,
should have titled this episode We Dish Two Saucy Dame and Cool Car Dude because I have never had a guest who had so many acronyms, so many abbreviations, so many numbers, and so many technical terms. I probably am aware of or understand about 40% of what you're saying, but I'm loving watching you say it. So listen, did you ever have a bench seat in a car? Remember those?
I did. So several of the Escalades, the Yukons, and the Tahoes had bench seats, but
Okay,
quickly moved to the bucket seats in the first and second row because of the comfort and one getting in and out of the vehicle.
of course,
Bench
of
seats
course.
were always problematic.
But sliding over on a bench seat was easier on a date at the
Yeah,
drive-ins. Let's just
yeah.
leave it at that. Okay. All right. It's time for thank you for the tour of the car industry, Tom. I've been a Z owner, a Nissan Z. They were Datsuns and Zs, and I think I've owned five of them from the late 1970s. I bought them all used, and they were fabulous cars up to my last one, which saw an unfortunate fate in Durham on a rainy road at 75 miles an hour on a
Yeah,
rainy day.
that was a fun story.
Yeah, that
I'm glad that you came out unscathed. It was an interesting story that you gave us.
Yeah, I'm still surprised that I survived because there's no way that me traversing across a three-lane highway at 75 in the rain, out of control, facing at the guardrail, impaled on the guardrail, facing traffic with them going at 85 past me. Nobody stopped, nobody called a cop, nobody called a tow truck, nobody offered to help, nobody did anything, and it was as though I wasn't even there. Nobody beeped, nobody stopped, nobody hit me. It was as though I had vaporized and my car just landed somewhere else. It was the strangest thing. And there were about for a year after that accident, and the car was total. I was fine. Just the rear end was so bad that the insurance company gave me almost the full value I'd paid for the car 4 years earlier, which was amazing. It was like I had the car for free for 4 years, other than insurance and gas. But the point was, I then went into the BMW line because that's all I could find. Nobody had 370Zs, and the second they went on Carvana or any of the internet sites, the second that somebody posted one, it was gone even before the pictures. They were snapping those cars up like I don't know what the what the analogy is, and I ended up with a beautiful little Z4 convertible, one owner, no smoking, black two-seater, and it's lovely. And the front bumper, the front pan license vanity plate says AKA Radio Red. And when people see that in a parking lot, they say, "Oh, that's interesting. Who the hell is she?" And then they just, nobody stops and says anything. When I owned Z's, people tried to buy them from me at the entrance to the Midtown Tunnel in New York, coming out of the driveway of my building in Great Neck, Long Island. People of all ages, men of all ages, wanted to buy my cars. They were that pretty. So, anyway, so Z Girl here. So I have a Z4 and it's a different one. Tom, I asked you to bring us a couple of songs that define, describe, make you feel like a cool dude. So what have you got for us? Tell us.
So the first one is the one that I go back to on multiple occasions in my life, and it kind of describes not only how I view the world, how I go after it, even goes back in so much as, kind of the car structure, but it's Don't Stop Believing.
Oh,
You
good
get
one.
into conversations with Journey. The album came out in high school. Ultimately, it talks about Detroit Boy and gets into those pieces. But I think the structure of the name and the actual execution, and truly going back to Steven Tyler's reason for writing it, was
Hmm.
kind of near and dear to some of the things that still bring me memories when I listen to it.
Don't stop believing. Oh, great song. Great song. Go ahead. Give me another one.
Second one is also similar, and it's really kind of how I kind of view a lot of the events of my life. Let it be the kids' births, the grandkids' births, etc. Is I got a feeling like I
Hmm.
peed.
Hmm.
And so ultimately, though it's a dance song, etc., it's still, if you actually listen to the actual uh, lyrics, some of the things that it points out really kind of hone into that. Third
Nice.
one, always been something that has been an interesting process, and I think he did a good job putting it together. Is All Summer Long by Kid Rock.
I don't know
Um,
that one. Tell me
yeah.
about the song. Tell me.
So the song really gets down to, what happens during the summer. Let it be a summer break. Let it be summer vacation. Uh, Going down to the water hole, having a drink, out on the boat, partying, etc. So it's been something. Kid Rock grew up out of the Detroit
Oh,
area,
okay.
and interesting enough, I ran into him once or twice in Detroit. Won't go into places, won't go into descriptions, but ultimately, you know,
His secrets are safe with you, or maybe
yeah.
it's the other way around.
What was interesting is, there was one point where it's like, who the hell is that? And it's like, well, that's Kid Rock. So,
Okay.
and the last one I'll bring up is one that I think is interesting, and how I came to these was I
Hmm.
went back to my playlists, and
Okay.
I still have my library on iTunes, and I go back to looking at the top, listenings. And in some cases, this is based upon artists. In some cases, based upon
Hmm.
locations. I mean, but it was interesting is throughout the last 4 years I've actually done this. These four have not moved off of my top 10. And in most cases,
Interesting.
they have moved off my top five.
Okay.
So number four is Blah, Blah, Blah from
Who's saying that?
Keisha.
Well, your list certainly has modernized over the years, hasn't it? You've
So
come a
it's
long way, baby.
Yeah, so I find interesting is that some of my favorite bands are going back to they're taking their final tours and their final pieces. I went and saw the Def Leppard, Journey, and Steve Miller Band event this past summer in Arlington. It was great. We went and saw Eagles at the Sphere with
Oh,
the fourth
oh,
show there.
yep.
But the Eagles don't make my list. But my first, we talked to, one point in time, what's the first album you owned? What's the first song? Said the first album I ever owned was an 8-track tape, which was Desperado. And, I still go back to a lot of the Eagles. I sang a single song of every single, one that they sang at the Sphere. Great event, great conversation. They've expanded. You haven't been out to see the show, go out to see the show.
Okay.
But it's interesting is these four really haven't moved. I've had a couple things move up and down. I'm a big Eagles fan, I'm a big Beatles fan, etc. But
Hmm.
all single one of these are all rock, and they're all pop rock. Interesting enough.
Tell me about the blah blah blah, because I don't know that song. What is that about?
So it's her speaking to kind of her entourage slash um, the mean girl type approach in high school, where they're giving her hell, et cetera, and she's like blah 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 blah. So it's an interesting song. It's definitely one that one needs to listen to. She had a couple good albums, and then she kind of disappeared. She went through some
Hmm.
troubles in her career and troubles in her life. I think she's finally gotten to a point where she's gotten over it,
Okay.
which is a good thing.
Yep.
And she settled her lawsuits with those that had the problems. And I think she's got her fourth or fifth album coming out.
Okay.
So ultimately, it's one of those where she was a big one that had a lot of hits early. in her career had her problems based upon being a young single young lady in the music business, and had
Mhm.
all of the woofs of Second Avenue and Broadway and Hollywood, et cetera, come after her, and then she's kind of made her way back. So great song. But those are, it's interesting. I've got a very big library, so it's not that
Mhm.
I listen to one genre or not. I've listened to country, did country during college and after college. So I've got a lot of country in that. I listen to a lot of the soft rock. I go into, XM. I have the Bridge as one of my top. I got Rewind. I've got classic vinyl. So I listen to quite a few things, and it's hilarious. My wife will come in and she says, "Well, what the hell made you in this, day and age listen to this?" And it might be time of day, what's going on, the events of going. All of them really drive kind of what I listen to. But music has been a big driving proponent of my life. I've got my Sonos portable speakers sitting
Oh,
next to me when
nice.
I take out to the pool and we go out there. And it's interesting is that I've stopped buying um, albums, and I moved everything from vinyl to XM to tapes, from tapes to
Mm-hmm.
the library, and quit buying. But sitting over here, though, I've got the landscape on, or got the back on. I've got my kids bought me a phonograph slash CD slash
Oh,
cassette slash 8-track player,
do you
all in
want to
one.
do you want to take off the background for a second and show us? You're
Yeah.
welcome to if you
So,
want to just kill that Zoom background for just a second. Take that off if you can
um,
figure that. There you
so
go. Oh,
you
what
can
have
see
we
it here.
got?
So this has actually got you got the phonograph here, you've got the DVD here, and on both sides you've got the 8-track and the cassette. And then
Very nice.
what I've left of my vinyl is
Yep.
sitting here. But when you start going through, you start looking, you know, this is a first copy,
Yes.
original first inking of the red
Wow.
vinyl,
Yep.
red
The
album.
Beatles. Yep, I recognize
So
it.
I've got the red, the blue, the white. Interesting enough is I actually picked up a couple mishaps. So one of my white albums that I have sold since actually was a candy cane color because they mixed the vinyls together, but it was a white album that actually got mixed with the red album. And though I bought it for $25, I think I sold it for something more than had an extra comma in there. Uh,
Oh dear. I
so
see, I knew you was a car guy, but I didn't know you was a music
yeah.
aficionado too. This is a nice
A
surprise.
lot of my albums are that I've kept were all first version, first copies, original Apple releases on Apple Records. So definitely definitely there. So that's one thing that's been. But I've got the surround bars. I've got everything connected upstairs and downstairs. I quit doing the wired systems. I've now got wireless.
Mm,
And so everything I can throw XM. So I use XM everywhere. So let it
very
be going to
nice.
the beach, let it be driving, etc. We're listening to SM, and let it be, in cases of the summer, yacht rock, and other cases,
Yep, that's
I'm at,
the new term. I want to tell
yep.
you about my songs. I don't know if you know, but I was a disco queen, a disco dancer back in the late 70s. I was teaching and I was competing, and so Donna Summer, and some people say summer. No, it's summer. There's no plural. It's summer, and she's gone sadly. But I put together a list of her songs that summarize me as a saucy dame, and I've got a whole bunch of other songs from other people. But I realized that if I look at her discography, if you will, they represent a lot. She works hard for the money. Hot stuff. I've been called that on the radio. Well, we know that, right? No more tears. Enough is enough. I Feel Love, and Last Dance. I'm not dancing anymore, but I'm doing other things. A couple of others are Leslie Gore, You Don't Own Me. And I went to the same college as Leslie Gore, Sarah Lawrence, when it was all girls, if I can still say that. And I saw her in the bookstore. Woohoo. I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar, Helen Reddy. Me and Bobby McGee by Janis Joplin. And the line from that you'll recognize, Tom, is freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. And I think that's the way I've been living my life the past couple of decades. Pat Benatar hit me with your best shot. Respect by Aretha Franklin, I Will Survive, Gloria Gaynor, A New Attitude, Patti LaBelle. And then we'll wrap this up with Since I Was Dancing semi-professionally, Dancing Queen by ABBA, Happy Dance by Mercy Me. It's a Christian rock band. You might enjoy the video for Happy Dance. Look it up. Very, very cool. Not religious. I Feel Better When I'm Dancing, a new song by Megan Trainor. And the line is show the world what you can do. Prove to them you've got the moves. I don't know about you, but I feel better when I'm dancing. Yeah, yeah. And the last one is Queen with periods by Janelle Monáe. She who writes the movie owns the script and the sequel. I think that summarizes me as a saucy dame. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
One thing that's interesting about me is people, as soon as I hear the last name, the first thing they ask is, are you related? And it's like, no, it's her first name, my last.
Madonna, yes.
And I do have a lot of her music.
Uh-huh.
Library. I think I have 7 of her 10 albums or something like that on it. So Material Girl, uh,
Oh, good
you've
song.
got, Like a Virgin,
Oh, good song.
Daddy's Prayer, all of those are things I listen to from her. But it is not on the top 10, not on the top 25, not on the top 50.
But they're still there. She's still
They're still there.
That's important. Okay. Not everybody gets the top 10 in life. Sometimes we make the top
Yep.
50 or 100, and that's just fine. Or the top 1,000. I'll settle for that some days. Okay. Off the top, your creativity superpower. What is it? What do you like about it? What not so much? Tom?
Well, I'd say the creativity side for me is cooking.
Oh, this
I think
is surprise and amazement. Get to know Tom N for the. I've known you for years. I never knew this. Keep
Yeah.
going.
Yeah. So I studied underneath the chef in high school and then went into doing some culinary pieces. And then from there, my grandfather, I started cooking pasta and making sauces with him when I was 4. So I basically dabbled in the kitchen and I found one of the things that made dating a lot easier and maybe a lot more fun and a lot more attractive was being able to cook and be able to eat. So ultimately, got into cooking at an early age and continued doing it. I probably cook at the house 4, 5, 6 times a week. Um, I obviously go back to my roots of being Italian, so let it be gnocchi, raviolis, regular spaghetti, lasagna, etc. All of that.
What's your
Uh,
favorite sauce to make right now?
right now, I actually just dabbled this past holidays with a short rib bolognese,
Oh,
and I
interesting.
typically do a pork sauce with polenta and the like because the girls being celiac,
Oh,
the pork sauce has got a little bit more richness, particularly when you start talking about the gluten-free
hmm
different types of pasta. Let they be corn based, let they be tapioca based, etc. But the pork sauce gives a little more richness. And so I said, okay, so instead of doing the pork sauce, let me do something new. And I tried the short rib. And I actually cooked the sauce for about 14 hours and
Only.
the braising of the short rib actually came
hmm
back as tender as the pork. And
Nice.
when I do pork sauce, I usually start with either a loin or I start with pork chops. When the short ribs, just went with straight short ribs and went from there. So that was the new approach. Now with that, my wife has bought me. I've got 2 different pasta makers, one for gluten
Oh,
free and one for not. I've got
nice.
a new mixer, so I was able to go through and actually mix up the dough and then cut the dough,
Mm,
etc. With the new mixer in a matter of minutes as compared to normally doing it by hand.
yeah.
Um, with my grandson here and babysitting while they were out, we actually made spaghetti. So it was interesting.
Nice.
We did 4 eggs and did noodles and was out there rolling them off, and I kept trying to show him how to put the flour on. And interesting enough is his mother is celiac, but he's not
Oh,
doing flour. And so there's a couple videos we were taking where I was actually flouring the pasta before we actually made the noodles, and he got to the point where he would powder the pasta and then powder his legs. So we're sitting on the counter, and it's like it's a little bit on the pasta, a little bit on his legs, a little
like,
bit on the pasta, a little bit on his legs.
oh, That's adorable. And you took videos. I don't
Yeah.
know if I ever told you years, I was living in Eugene, Oregon for many, many years. That's where I was dancing, as I said, semi-professionally teaching and exhibiting and doing competitions, in addition to being an early woman in tech programmer analyst. You know all about that. But I had a party once. I had a beautiful condo, I guess you'd call it, with vaulted ceilings. And I invited about 20 people. And the deal was that I made homemade pasta and I had one of those crank pasta machines. I might still have it. I've moved so many times, I don't know where it is. And I made pasta probably on the linguine side, flat and not too wide. And I invited people to bring either a dessert or their favorite sauce. And I went to Mazzi's, which is an Italian restaurant about a half mile from where I was living, and they had a wonderful salad dressing. They bottled it, they sold it. It was that good. It was a vinaigrette, but it was thick. It wasn't just liquidy. And I had a double sink, and I think I put ice cubes in one sink and a strainer, and then lettuce, just tons and tons of cut up lettuce and vegetables in. And people took their plate and they went through the line in my kitchen. And they took the salad and they Namazi's dressing, and then they took the pasta. We had different pots going on the stove with different shaped pasta going, and then they picked a sauce that they liked. And it was we went through bottles and bottles of wine, and I think what's the name of the pavlova, the little dessert, the like floating island. Somebody
Mm.
brought that. It's meringues in some kind of something or other. I don't remember, floating meringues. And it was a party for about 20 people. My ceilings were so high, and I had bought a disco ball, which I still own, 36-inch disco ball with motor and with different lights. And I had that going on in the ceiling above the living room with all these tables set out. It was a big, like a great room. And
Mm.
when you're talking about making pasta, that's what I remember. But it was so much fun to have that many people there taking different sauces and bringing sauces, and we all shared that pasta. It was homemade pasta. So thank you for the memory, Tom. I appreciate that. What's your downside of your creative superpower? Is there one?
I think it's being, well, I think I don't want to say downside. I think it's a rut I get into. And
Oh,
it's
okay.
I love not eating leftovers. So I get to a
Okay.
point where at this point in time, I like, because of travel and everything else, you never had
Yeah.
leftovers. So
Yeah,
therefore,
of course.
you go out, you eat, then you whatever you leave it, and you go on to the next one. So I get to the point, and especially being Italian, of when you cook a big meal and
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of leftovers. So my downward size is I get too creative, too sometimes too much to the point where I've got leftovers and I'm handing them out to everybody as they're walking out. Hey, you're
Please,
leaving. Here's a pot. Hey, you're
please,
leaving.
please
Yeah, please
take
take.
this.
I made French onion soup for French
Oh,
dip 2 days ago, and I end up having 4 or 5 things of Tupperware left. And my wife says to me, "Did you throw it away?" I said, "No, I just put it in little Tupperware and put it in the freezer. So when I'm traveling, she's got something she can have." So
that's nice. That's
yeah,
very nice.
but it's
Very
that's
nice.
I think that's the downside is I cook too much as my family says. And now that I've started losing weight and started not eating as much and I'm on the GLP-1s, et cetera, I've had to close off my downside. So like last night I
Okay.
did 4 chicken breasts and broiled them, not broiled them. I baked them and then uh, broiled the skin to do a crispy skin on them. And then I
Mm-hmm.
did uh, black bean slash relish, and I did 4 thighs and then the black beans, and we still had leftovers.
Oh
Uh,
my.
and my wife's on the same thing. She's on GLP-1 too, and so we get to a point now where it's a meat and one dish, not a meat and 2 or 3 in a salad, etc.
Yep.
So I've had to close down, and I've got to the point now where we typically can get through either dinner and have one meal after, or almost to the point where we're not getting past the one meal. So my downsizing is not being as creative and trying to cut my portions down in regards to it. But if I'm at home, we did 7 fishes
Oh
for
my. Christmas?
Christmas Eve, and
Yeah.
this was the first time that we didn't have tons and tons and tons of leftovers. I think
Did
we
you happen to see the TV show The Bear? Did you watch it?
I've seen it, and actually my daughters are the ones that got me hooked on watching it. So it's
Mine too.
definitely,
Mine
yeah.
too. Do you remember the Christmas episode with Jamie Lee Curtis as the mother in the kitchen? Do you remember that one? Yeah, that was classic in its own way. Yes, the seven fishes and all that good stuff. Yes, and the mom.
And my mother gives me hell about this all the time. It's like, seven fishes when we were growing up, it was the smelt and this smoked and that and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
My seven fishes, it's everything I want to eat. It's not the seven fishes that, you're bound to eat because you're so, we did a broiled salmon, we did a
Ooh.
cod, but I had, mussels and shrimp and
Mm-hmm.
we didn't do lobster this year, but we've had lobster in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I typically do a cioppino, so I've got, so my seven fish, dinners have been 21, 22, 23 different, fishes.
Oh my.
Her comment back to me was, it's not seven fishes, you're doing seven mussels or seven,
Yep.
pieces. And yes, but I like to eat it, and
Okay.
cook what I like to eat, versus going back to grandma or to aunt, whoever, and having to worry about the smoked herring that sits there for 4 days, or you throw it out.
There you
So
go.
yeah, Christmas and New Year's and the holidays for me are, we fried the turkey for Thanksgiving. We did
Oh,
the seven fishes for Christmas. We did the prime rib for the day before New Year's Eve, but I did 23 pounds, two different, so it was almost a half a side of prime rib.
oh
We had
my.
prime rib for 2 or 3 days. We had French dip
Yeah.
for a day. So it's cooking, and it's now, and the superpower downsizing is probably the biggest thing.
Very, very cool. My creativity superpower is that I love talking to people, and that's it. And that's the up and that's the downside of it. And I talk to too many people, not here on the shows, and I get talked into new business ideas. And after a while, they just walk away for some reason. And I'm left with, I was telling people last time I was on did the show, I have too many domains I own because everybody says, we need a website. I say, good, I'll go to your daddy right now and I'll buy a new domain. And I do. And then after a while, they lose interest in their project that they approached me with, and I'm left with. So I have a lot of domains, and that's, I don't know if that's a downside. I really should do something with them. Next, New Year's resolutions, yay or nay? What do you think?
I'd say a couple of years back, I started saying nay. I
Mm-hmm.
was doing a situation where you'd get through January and February, you'd forget about them, et cetera. So I got to the point that I started doing resolutions that were positive versus negative. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of what was going on with Lent, and the preparation of Easter, where you would give something up. Someone listening to one of the priests, one of the deacons talk one year, and it was like, it's not so much the sacrifice of what you give up, it's the sacrifice of what you do. And so one of the things that I kind of picked back up and started with my resolutions was, let's do something positive versus something, losing weight,
Yep.
dropping sweets, etc.
Yep.
Uh, and so part of the resolution was, to make every day a better day than the previous day,
I
learn a new
like that.
task, learn a new, thing to do, pick up something that you hadn't picked up before.
Uh-huh.
Make it a positive day versus a negative day. Always look at the brighter side of something than not.
Mm-hmm.
And so my resolutions have been kind of an ongoing thing as compared to something that happens on New Year's Eve, that you think about for the following year.
I
It,
like that.
it's,
You'll have like, get a lot of optimism in there
absolutely.
instead of constricting and restricting, you're optimizing, optimisming there. That's
Yeah,
a
and
better
and
word.
and you look at the headlines of the news and everything else going on today, and we need more of that. It's this scenario that, let's not divide the country. Let's come back together and
Yep.
do the positive pieces of it. And a lot
Absolutely.
of positive pieces we have to worry about, at this point in time.
Absolutely.
We want to
So,
leave this
question.
country in a better position than when we have it today.
We should all hope we could leave the world in a better position, each one of us. I think so. People tell me about their bucket lists, and I say, what are you waiting for? You don't know when that bucket's going to tip. Just do whatever you want and do it now. Build it into your life. Don't wait. Oh, when I'm retired, I'll learn to ice skate. Well, maybe like me, you're never going to retire. And I was ice skating when I was 12. So there, big deal. But I don't believe in bucket lists, and I gave up on resolutions. Uh, I like to think of how can I make the day a better day and how can I be happy today and how can I leave something positive, even if it's just staying away from other people for a day. How can I be happy being alive today? How can I
Yeah.
go to bed and say, this was a good day. I felt good. I did some things I liked. I didn't do anything negative, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow. That to me is a good day. So there. Next question. Coffee or tea, brewed or instant, calf, decaf, homemade, Starbucks, latte, espresso, cappuccino. How much? How often? When? Cup or mug? What?
All the above. Uh,
Okay, good. What's your
so,
favorite?
so I stopped drinking at the end of August this year. I stopped Diet Cokes at the end of August this year. So I've gone back to tea and coffee.
Why
So
did you stop Diet Coke?
it's one of those things where when I stopped drinking, it was I always mixed stuff with Diet Coke. So at this point in time, it didn't have the alternative
Got it.
of not having something mixed with it.
Got it.
But what I found, and I had a Diet Coke about 3 months after that,
Mm-hmm.
and it took me going back to college, it took me about a year to get off of Coke Classic on a Diet Coke. And
Really? Why?
I
Why do
had
you think?
it was just the taste. It was either it was
Okay.
too sweet and just the piece of it. I just liked, the sugar in the Coke. And of course my waistline didn't. And ultimately when I went back to that Coke after 90 days, I just couldn't stomach the taste anymore.
Really?
I've had Mexican Coke since. I've had
Wait, wait, wait. Hold on. What is Mexican Coke?
Mexican Coke. It's got the Mexican sugar in it. So ultimately it goes back to the root
Where
recipe.
where do you get it?
Well, in Texas, you just go to the grocery store. I mean,
Oh, okay. All right.
but it's got the Mexican cane sugar in it.
And is there a brand? Because I'm in Tennessee. Would I find
Oh,
it in
it's
my
just
store?
Coke. It's just Coke. But when you basically bry it, you'll see it. It'll say Mexican cane sugar on it.
I will look at that. I don't drink Coke anymore, but I'd be curious to
Yeah,
taste it.
and,
I'm
and it
I'm
comes
I'm a
in the comes in the old bottles.
I like that.
So you got to have a bottle opener, et cetera. But
Right.
I'm now doing some of the what they falsies and the NA mix and stuff like that. And there's several whiskeys that are out that are NAs, and there's several rums that are out that are NAs. And I've mixed it with the cane sugar Coke.
I
And then,
will try that. I
but
think I had a vice president of Coke on one of my radio shows years ago, and she gifted me with a six
yeah.
pack of the smaller bottles. I don't think I ever opened them. I just wanted to keep them, and I don't think they moved with me too many times. How do you like your coffee? How do you take it or your tea? What do you do?
So tea, I drink with sweetener. I drink very little with lemon.
Mm-hmm.
But depending upon what we have, I go from Earl Grey to a chamomile to a lemon zest, etc. So I drink quite a bit of that. Big iced tea guy. So
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, going to the South, um, stop drinking the sweet tea. I do
Mm-hmm.
sweeten it, but it's no longer the cane sugar sweet tea, it's
Mm-hmm.
because of health issues. On the coffee side, I go from getting up my 14 steps to my commute on a daily basis to my espresso 1 cup or pot. So I've got both. So I bought
Okay.
2 in 1. I've got of my pods, I've got French roast, Italian, espresso, et cetera, all Starbucks. I've got
Mm-hmm.
HEB is a big, huge, supermarket down here, and they've got
Mm-hmm.
a multi-faceted, different types of approaches for a Dallas brew, a Houston brew, a San Antonio brew, and a Texas brew. So they've got different types of pieces in it. I think the Texas has got pecan, et cetera, in it. So
Ooh.
the 1 cuppers and typically it's
Oh,
three Splenda and a bit of half and half. If I do Starbucks, then it's
fancy.
it's a dark roast or it's a latte. I've gotten real bad into when I'm traveling doing a quad shot, a latte with whole milk. So it's really down to kind of was 1 cup a day and one Diet Coke and a couple teas. I'm now 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day and maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been an interesting process over the last 6 months of dropping the caffeine side of the soft drinks and
Yep.
then moving back into the tea and coffees. So I'm drinking coffee in the afternoons, which I wasn't doing in the past. Usually it was 1 cup and then I moved off to tea, et cetera. So, my sweet tea or my unsweet tea,
Uh-huh. Purely. Mm-hmm.
pure leaf. So that was kind of what I've done. But I don't, I mean, Americano, yes, maybe. It's usually going to be a drip. It's usually going to be
Okay.
a cup or a mug, and it's
Mm-hmm.
usually a couple in the morning and then one in the afternoon.
I miss coffee. I can only have decaf. I cannot tolerate caffeine. It's been a problem that's built up over the years, and you would be scraping me off the ceiling right now if I had even one cup. So I'm always looking for good brands of decaf coffee and even herbal tea, and it's hard to find. And I cannot find Earl Grey with the bergamot, which is a lovely, lovely flavoring to it. I can't find that in decaf other than I buy it on Amazon, and they give you like 120 bags for $100. Or, no, it's not quite that bad, but I don't want to stockpile tea. So I use peppermint tea and I'll put it in a tall mug with filtered water from the fridge and put it in the microwave for about a minute and a half until it gets really hot. Never squeeze the bag because you get that tannic acid out of it. And then I will drink it at a reasonably hot temperature. I just did one today. And then I'll refill the mug with the tea bag still in it and leave it in the fridge to chill. And I'll have it the next day as peppermint flavored water. And I'll do it one more time. Then I throw out the tea bag. So that's how I've been doing it. But I miss coffee. I miss good coffee. I loved good
So going back
coffee.
to going back to HEB, every single one of those blends I talked about in HEB has a decaf.
Really?
There's a decaf Dallas, a decaf San Antonio, a decaf Houston, and a decaf Texas.
Really? Can I get those online?
You can get those online.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will. I have a Keurig and I have an espresso, and I keep
Yep.
them on the shelf in the garage. And when my kids come, we bring the coffee machine in because they bring their own pods. But I would like that. Thank you very, very much. I
And
appreciate
and
that.
and the pure tea on the bottles also has a decaf.
Okay, good to know.
And so it's my wife thinks it's a little strong. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's not as strong as Starbucks.
Okay.
But it is stronger than say a Lipton, et cetera. But the Pure Leaf does have a decaf.
Cool. Thank you very much for the recommendation. This is a how-to show, not just a conversation. I have to go back and translate everything you've said, especially about the cars and the food. Coffee, I'm understanding a little better. Okay, last question before we go to our wacky say what stories. Movies and TV genres and preferences, drama, fantasy, musical, romance, mystery, comedy, sci-fi, thriller, war, adventure, action. Your favorite actor, actresses, if you have any favorites. What do you got?
My selection of so I grew up as a Gen Z, the Gen X, early Gen X, late boomer, in that age bracket. So I grew up in a different process that I grew up as a learner visually versus reading. So I got into all of my books, all of my stuff by going physically to either the tape on book or to the movie. So I
Okay.
have a lot of process. Now, when I talk about my books, all my books typically are sci-fi. I started writing sci-fi when I was in high school. I did never
Really?
publish, but I wrote multiple books, and they were all based upon that genre. When I got into growing up was superheroes, so it was basically all of the Marvel and DC. Had comic books throughout, and I grew from that into sci-fi, from sci-fi into horror and the like. But to date, I watch about everything that can be. With the amount of miles that I travel and have traveled, I catch up on my movies while I travel. I am over 6 million and counting on miles on American,
Oh
and
my.
I've got to the point now where I have to kind of look at when I'm traveling to see when the movies refresh because I get bored,
Hmm.
you know. But
That's funny.
I watch everything. We watched Payne Hustlers this past week, which is a Melly Blunt piece on the um, uh, sellers that were going through the drug sellers that happened. So if you haven't seen it, it's I believe it's original Netflix, but it's
Hmm.
about the opioid issues that were going on in regards to
Okay.
selling doctors. I'm all caught up on my DC. I'm waiting for the next round of the Obi-Wan Kenobi Star Wars episodes coming out. Bear, in regards to that, my wife
Hmm.
is a big she does all the series, all the cooking series, etc. So it's hilarious. Kind of sidebar here. I go to take one of my employees out who's retiring in Vegas, and she's never been to Hell's Kitchen. So I
Mm.
took her to Hell's Kitchen for her retirement dinner.
Oh
And
my.
they've got a tasting menu, which are three different pieces. So if you like his scallops, you like his sticky toffee dessert, and you like Wellington, you can get all three for about $100. You want to pair it with wines, you can. You don't, you can't.
Such
But
a deal.
if the waiter comes over and says, hey, I'm not sure if you know about Hell's Kitchen. I said, yes. It was interesting when we walked in, there was like 1,000 people in the freaking
Oh,
thing. I walk in, and it's like reservation for Madonna. They took us straight to our table.
nice.
We're going like, we've been here for 2 hours waiting, and it's like, well, you can make a
Yeah.
reservation
Yeah.
four months ahead of time. Anyway,
Yeah.
so we go in, we sit down, and he says, I'm not sure if you've seen the series, et cetera, but we do the following. I said, yes, my wife streams it all. She knows every single piece. She'll turn it on, and we'll watch a full series of a full season, back to back to back to back to back. And the waiter had never seen any of them. I said, well, here's my telephone number. If you want to know, next time someone comes in, who won season 22 or what happened in season 16 or what happened in 15, just call and I'll let you know, because do that. So part of that is, one, she just goes through them like that. But two, I then pick up the recipes and go
Cool.
through pieces. So I
Cool.
like his lobster
Yes.
recipe. I like his seared scallops recipe, etc. So
Oh,
long and short, my genre is everything that's kind of out that is there. There's only a few things I don't watch, but in general, I can usually find something. And 9 times out of 10, if it's going to be sci-fi, something she's got to be sleeping. Uh, and it's gotta be something that she wants to watch also.
no
So
caffeine. I love police and detective procedurals in French, and I love the quirky women-led series like Alice Nevers, who they don't call these women detectives, they call them investigating judges, la juge et la femme. Candice Renoir was a riot, Pacific Criminal. I watched the Murder In series, which takes place in a different scenic area of France, all around the country, and after a while, they repeat the same actors in different roles. So I'll say, oh, there's Nicholas Cobb. Oh, there's Eleanor Bernheim. Oh, there's Celeste Bois. And it's like watching family of actors taking different roles. But I love those shows. Astrid is another one, all in French. She's a very, very high functioning neuro not typical. She's autistic and she is a genius at solving crimes and she runs the archives at a police station near Paris. And she can go through thousands of files and photos and crime scene pictures and she picks up things that nobody else, even the ME is always she knows a lot. So it's a charming show and she works with a French detective named Raphael and people getting used to Astrid's mannerisms. Sarah Mortensen is a brilliant French actress, and she plays this unbelievably. So those are my favorites. But I did finish The Diplomat season 2 with Kerry Russell and Allison Janney from. I just finished West Wing a couple weeks ago. I had never seen it when it originally came out. I was shamed into watching that by my kids. And Allison Janney is in the last episode, I think, of the second season of The Diplomat, and she is the Vice President of the United States. And she's very quirky and very interesting, and she looks very Bruner. She's wearing a gray suit and blonde hair. Oh, I'm Allison. Anyway, she's good. I don't know why she won an award for it. I know that Jamie Lee Curtis playing the mother on the bear in that kitchen scene in Christmas she got some kind of award for that. It was absolutely brilliant acting. I just finished Black Doves with Keira Knightley and Sarah Lancaster, which is a wonderfully done. I'm watching The Agency with Michael Fassbender, and a very older. Richard Gere is in that one. He has a very small part as one of the heads of the agency, which is the CIA, I guess, or a secret agency. So I like those kinds of shows. But I do, and I just finished Shrinking. I finished season 2. Have you watched Shrinking?
no.
Jason Segel and Harrison Ford. Those are the two names I can tell you that might mean something to. Jason Segel was from How I Met Your Mother, and Harrison Ford needs no explanation. And they play psychiatrists, psychologists, and it's their interpersonal reactions with themselves, their families, with each other, and their clients. And it's aberrant as far as how therapists deal with their own lives and their clients. It's very interesting, very well written. There's some tragedy written into it. There's some teens, there's some families, there's some nosy neighbors, and it moves fast. It's written like a Shonda Rhimes show. If you remember Scandal, anything like that, real fast dialogue, but the F-bombs are every third word. Okay. So it's, if you can think of a fast scandal with F-bombs, every other word is the F word. And if you get used to that, you can watch it. I don't know if your wife would like it, but I think you might like it. So those are our preferences. A favorite actor or actress, Tom?
Well, here's one for you to watch if you haven't seen it. Why Housewives Kill.
Oh, is that, did they come back with another season of that?
They're supposed to, but that's another one my wife picked up that she loves.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I love seeing actresses from that show show up on other. Yes,
Yep.
yes, I saw that one. That was burying the in the front. Yeah, yeah, I
Yep.
saw it. Oh, oh yeah, yeah. That was a couple of years ago. That
Yep.
was
Yeah.
very, very vibrant, shall we just say?
Yep. Yep.
Very
She's
well
big
done.
she's big into to running through the whole series of everything. So
Yep,
uh
I like to binge. Okay, wacky stories. This is the say what segment. Say what? What have you got? You want to put a visual on?
no, I think the wacky stories I've been kind of trying to track is just the political news of what's going on with the freaking forest fires in California.
Okay, we'll do a little bit of that, but we don't want to get into the political aspects of who's
No,
blaming whom for
no.
what.
I just think it's
Okay,
it's interesting. You got the trucks that came in from all over the place. Fire trucks, and they had to go to math. To get inspected for emissions before they could actually go do something. My son's a
really?
firefighter. Yeah, so there was like 500 fire trucks that came in from Oregon, from Washington, from Colorado, from Mexico. All had to stop and had to go to Sacramento before they could actually go to the fires to be going through the Department of Transportation emissions testing before they
Did
could
not
actually be.
know that.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
There's that. That was wacky. The wackiness
Yeah.
in regards to the reserves being empty.
Yep.
So it's just to me it's just kind of I go back to the show Dumb and Dumber. There's just
Yep. It's interesting. Well, they didn't
so
really know what they were getting into in the beginning. So,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So there's that. Then there's the wackiness going on with just everything that is going on right now with auto, with the interest rates, with the execution of imports, the tariffs, what's going to happen with that. There's the wackiness going on in regards to what is going to transpire with the regulation, deregulation of the dealerships. So
Oh,
going
oh,
going back,
yes.
yeah, going back to a scenario, Tesla couldn't
Yep.
sell because they didn't have dealerships, so they had to do all that. Guess
Yep.
what? There's a Tesla dealership in Plano. So they took over an old dealership and they basically grew out into the Toys R Us. There are 200 trucks on the lot.
Wow.
And they're wrapping of all the different colors, etc. They've got X's, they've got Y's, they're all over the place. So long and short, they went from not selling to he moves the company to Texas and he starts putting up dealerships. So
Interesting.
there was a showroom right below our office, and you had like 5 or 6 vehicles, a couple of vehicles hooked up to the stations and back where people could physically go in and test drive, et cetera. But then you made your order. Well, after all the rigmarole, they now have a dealership. You can actually go pick the car out and drive it.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Yep.
goodness.
So a lot of interesting processes, but
A lot. Well, I'm going to share with you some wacky stories and I'm going to show you my screens because I think these have very interesting visuals. So first one, I shared this on Cool Dude last week with somebody else, but I thought you'd get a kick out of it. They're talking about AI becoming emotional, and this has been a big question of does it have empathy? Does it have feelings? Can it relate to us as humans? We bring those supposedly and hopefully to the table with all of our interactions with other humans. So imagine this, you're on a customer service call, and after being put on hold for what feels like an eternity, you get through to an AI assistant. You're frustrated, your voice is trembling, and you're one deep sigh away from throwing your phone across the room. Suddenly, the AI pauses and says, I sense you're upset. Let me connect you to a human representative right away. Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right, Tom? Well, at CES 2025, startups like Affectiva are proving that emotional AI is no longer just a futuristic concept. It's here and it's making machines more emotionally intelligent than ever. The technology is being implemented across healthcare, customer service. Automotive, there you go. You really want that car, Tom? Let me show it to you in 1,200 different colors. Good luck, soldier. Healthcare, emotionally, I can assess a patient's emotional state during virtual consultations. That's important, helping doctors make informed decisions. In automotive, it's being used for in-cabin sensing to improve safety and enhance the driving experience. I thought so there's a possibility. So this is crying. What do you think? Good?
Interesting. Actually, I had to cancel my CES trip this year because it fell right on top of our sales meeting. But this is
Hmm.
this is definitely one of those types of things that have been fun to watch, as well as the demos of them
Yeah.
interacting at the show.
Yep. And here's another one. Here are some sports you've never heard of, I guarantee. Unique, eccentric, weird sports. This is what I mean by wacky. Chess boxing.
Yep.
It's alternate. You ever heard of chess boxing?
Yep.
Okay, 3-minute rounds of chess and boxing. How about dog surfing? You ever heard of that?
Yep. I've seen that.
Okay. How about hobby horsing?
Not that as a sport, but as an activity.
In Finland is hobby horsing's country of origin. They hold regional competitions and a national championship. It's very popular with girls and young women aged 12 to 18. I thought that was interesting. You ever heard of a lumberjack championship?
Yep.
Okay, 100 lumberjacks, loggers, and sawyers. 21 events include a 60-foot speed climb, log rolling, spinning log floating in water, trying to stay on balance, and chopping down timber. You ever heard of an underwater torpedo competition?
We do that with the kids. See them? They're
Former,
they're about they're about the yay big, and they're hard rubber.
there you go. Teams of 5 players hold a
Yeah.
rubber torpedo and place it on the goal. I've never heard of these. So these aren't wacky to you. They are to me. Toe wrestling. You ever heard of toe wrestling?
Not toe wrestling, thumb wrestling, yes.
Okay, created in the 70s by friends drinking in a pub in Staffordshire, England. Similar to arm wrestling, it involves 2 players locking their toes and trying to pin the rival's foot. Since 1994, the annual World Toe Wrestling Championship has been held in the English country of Derbyshire. And there you go. There's a terrible picture, and I don't want to get the link there. There we go. That's rather annoying. Wife carrying. Did you know this was a sport in Finland, Tom?
I did, and that's where you get into a whole series of other things you will get into in regards.
How about extreme ironing? You ever heard of extreme ironing?
No.
Okay, I'm going to teach you about this one. The most widely accepted origin tells the story of Phil Shaw in Leicester, England, who in 1997 came home from a long day of work and he found a pile of dishes that needed to, what? Clothes that needed to be ironed. Where did I get dishes from? An avid rock climber, he decided to combine both activities by carrying his ironing board up a rock climbing wall, and
Hmm.
extreme ironing was born. Thousands of enthusiasts carried their boards up mountains, skyscrapers, and canyons. Some have even ironed their clothes while parachuting or bungee jumping. I wonder, how do you get the power to make the iron hot when you're bungee jumping? I guess you have to get it hot before you start, right?
And before
I
you
guess so.
start.
I can't imagine what that shirt looks like on the way down with the ironing board. Don't even. Lawnmower racing. Have you ever done
Yes.
that? You
Yes.
Oh my goodness, you're just a big surprise here. Several U.S. states hold races. The best known is 12 Mile 500, July 4th every year in 12 Mile, Indiana. And what about caber tossing? Caber tossing. You know what
Cape.
that is? Caber tossing is practiced in Scottish Highland. The caber is a wooden pole,
Yep.
90
Yep.
to
And then you throw it over. Yep.
falls on the end. The distance is not important as long as it falls away from you, the thrower. The straightest toss wins the most points. 12 o'clock position opposite the thrower is awarded the maximum score. So there you go. I think I teased you on 2 out of the 10, right?
Yep.
I didn't realize. And have you ever heard of these food-based idioms? Do you know the derivation of apple of my eye?
I do not.
Well, there you go for somebody who likes to cook and maybe bake. The original context referred to the aperture or the pupil of the human eye. It appears in Shakespeare's 1590s play, A Midsummer Night's Dream, sink in the apple of his eye, and the King James 1611 Bible translation, keep me as the apple of the eye in Psalm 17:8. Interesting. And let me do one more here. Let's do riding the gravy train. This may date to 1920s railroad workers described in an assignment that paid handsomely, and apparently they brought home the money and the wife could make the gravy. One more. Pliny the Elder in 77 CE advised ingesting an antidote for poison with a grain of salt to make it more palatable. I don't even understand that. It wasn't until the 20th century that they started using it. And we'll do one more. What do you think? Sliced bread or bacon? What one do you want?
No, both of them. So
Both of them. Okay, in the 1100s, married couples in a small town in England who visited church swore they had not argued in the last year. The priest or minister, whoever it was, the deacon gave them a side of bacon to bring home. Imagine how many people lied. And the sliced bread, the earliest effective bread slicing machine, was created by an Iowa inventor, and they don't give his name, in the late 1920s. The Chillicothe Baking Company was the first one to sell pre-sliced bread, and they used a version in their ads. The greatest forward step in the baking industry since bread was wrapped is sliced bread. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed those, Tom.
we actually got a restaurant that's close to it. That's a new concept restaurant. That's from the Tao restaurants,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Italian, and they actually make fresh bread every day, two
Mm-hmm.
times a day, and they actually have a slicer, an automatic slicer on the floor. So when
Mm-hmm.
you physically walk in, they'll actually put the bread in the slicer to slice it, and then they bring it out to you. Well, we were sitting there one night, and it was right before Christmas. We were doing it was after Thanksgiving, before between the holidays, and there was the 5 or 6 couples that get together all the time. And the guy that was doing the slicing the bread didn't know how to do it. And every single time he'd throw in two, three, four loaves at a time, and the damn thing would just basically almost shake itself off the table.
Very, very cool. I have enjoyed talking to you. I've learned probably about 10 hours worth of information compressed into an hour and 15 minutes. I didn't know you were a cook. I knew you were a car guy. I didn't know that many details about cars. I didn't know you were a music aficionado. I didn't know you had some collector's albums. I probably got a bunch of vinyl here that I keep bringing with me. All I will tell you is that in my music life, I was very sad that I forgot to pack my 45 RPM records, which I had collected as a teenager. When I moved from Cambridge, Massachusetts to Eugene, Oregon, I was a young married, and my husband and I moved with our 2 children. And I think I left a couple of boxes. We bought little boxes with handles on them for the 45s. I left them either in the house or somewhere, and my neighbor Marie said she would mail them to me, ship them to me with hundreds of 45s. Never heard
Never
from
happened.
Maria again. Yeah, that was my sad part. But I do have about 100 albums, vinyl, everything from Herb Alpert to Beatles to you name it. And at one point, I was selling on eBay in between jobs, and there was a church or a temple somewhere on Long Island that I came across that had an adjunct building to the main part of this church. It looked like a house, and you'd go in the side door, and inside it was like a bazaar, and they were selling stuff. It was like a flea market inside, but it was full time. And they were selling record albums from the days where it had a hard cover, and inside were paper sleeves, and the records were tucked into the sleeves. We're talking 78 RPMs. And
Yep.
I bought a bunch of them, and there were classics, and there were operas, and there were, oh, things from hundreds of years. Not, the music was very, very old, and I bought them, and I thought they would be hotcakes on eBay. Not exactly. So I got stuck with a lot of albums that nobody ever wanted. But I do think I still own a Micro Seiki turntable with a plexiglass cover, and
Mm.
I have no equipment to hook it up to. So if you know anybody who's looking for a beautiful Micro Seiki turntable, it's here somewhere in Tennessee. Okay.
Well,
Tom,
actually, I still collect cards,
mm-hmm.
stamps, and coins,
What kind of cards?
baseball, football,
That's
etc.
what I thought. Okay.
My wife of 34 years said to me, 3 years into dating, if you buy another card without buying me a ring, we're done. So
You
I
got the ring.
bought her ring. I took went and bought a box of cards. I took out one set of the cards. I put the ring in, and I gave her the box as a engagement conversation. And I said, "Well, you said I couldn't buy you cards until I bought you a ring. So here's the box, last box I'm going to buy." And,
That's the best
and
engagement story I've heard in a long time. You're a delight to talk to. Thank you for sharing so much of your life with me, and I'm officially anointing you. You are a cool dude now. You were before, but now you're one of Bonnie D's cool dudes. So I'm going to put on the music. Let me go do my share thing here. No, Sonny, just share, computer audio share, and stick around for a minute. I want to take some pictures, okay? Oh, do you want to see the trailer for this show? Do you want me to show you the trailer? Okay, let me get rid of that share and let's go do a video file and let's see if I can find it. Hold on. Yeah, I think you'll enjoy this very much, but I got to navigate to it. So hold on. Tech Rev. If I can't find it fast, we will just skip it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. I moved them around. Hold on 1 second. Trailers. Here we are. Okay, and this is the We Dish trailer and this is version 3. Are you ready? Here
Yep.
we go. Okay. Gonna play it. Listen up. Can you hear it? What'd you think?
Nice. Nice.
Cool. I've started a new business and I'm doing trailers for people for their family vacations as
Hmm.
a new business concept. And they're similar to this with lots of pictures and very interesting music and scenes and text and all of that. So that's my new endeavor for this year. So now let me put up the outro music. And as I said, please stick around and we will take some pictures. So thank you to Tom Madonna for full. I appreciate you sharing your cool dudeness with me. And I want to also thank Serge Hoffman for being the composer and the vocalist for my song, So You Want to Be. And let's play the outro and then we'll say goodbye. Hold on. Here we go. I'll raise the volume. There we go.
So you wanna be
So you want to be.
a
I'm cool. He's cool. I'm cool. Hanging with the insect. Looking real. Oh, yeah. Fine. So you want to be. Bop, 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 bop. Never remembered my drumsticks. Thank you very much. Let's roll this out. Here we go.